Now, as we see scenes where you like land as Iron Man and you come out of the suit and it's like peeling back off your body, how do they do that? It's so cool looking.
Very skillfully. I mean, it really is the best folks in the business. And, you know, you always have to lean into and be comforted by the fact that even though I feel like a schmuck right now while I'm stepping out of nothing into nothing and walking past a camera, you just have to. It's like somebody who's not a good dancer, but they're just out there just like bringing it, you know, and you're like, I love that confidence. That's what you need to really make the effects work. You have to sell it like it's happening, like, because I get excited as you do.
Nerd tears. I get nerd tears.
Yes.
I get so geeked out that I have tears in my eyes. Literally nerd tears streaming down my face as I'm watching these action scenes.
That's awesome.
When you're in the HUD helmet, and we see you flying,
yes.
How does that look on set? What are you looking at? What are you seeing? How do they do that?
I'm basically sitting in an airport shiatsu massage chair backwards with a camera about a quarter of an inch away from my nose, going, all right, what's going on? If they showed you the outtakes from that, you would laugh your ass off.
What are you like? Are they shining lights in your face so it looks like there's things going off? How do they do that?
It's a combination of just an extreme-ish close-up, being told, are we flying? Are we upside down? Should I be looking left, right? What's going on? What am I doing? Oh, yes, I'm worried about Pepper. Or just saying a bunch of technical jargon to, you know, Jarvis or whatever. And then they overlay that sense to make it seem, you know, multidimensional.
Now, take me back to the 2008 when you made the first Iron Man. Favreau did a lot of practical effects. I know Whedon does some practical effects as well, but they've gotten, I guess, more CGI because all the action scenes are more intense and more insane in these movies over the years. What is the biggest difference and similarity to filming the first Iron Man and now Avengers 2?
On the first one, we felt like we were trying to add a new menu item to you know, a restaurant that, well, like Chef, like the movie. Like, you know, there's all these formulas that already work, so how could we make our own signature dish? And since then, I see that there was always this backline of talent and kind of vision behind us, and they kept replicating different versions of different formulas together, and they obviously all come together in the Avengers franchise.
Yes. Awesome to see you. Thank you so much for the interview. You're always wonderful to talk to.
Oh, thanks,
Thank you so much.
All right,
first of all, congratulations to you guys. You guys know I nerd out about movies all the time, so.
No doubt about you.
Yeah, I nerd about you, man.
Saw you in the hallway. Like,
yes, we did a little dab and a hug.
We did.
We're boys.
The other interview.
He made you look wicked cool in the hallway.
He did.
Everyone else in the hallway was like,
every girl was like, who is this guy?
Do you know him?
Yeah. I got to talk about the beginning shot though, the continuous take that.
how
that
great
does.
is that?
I want to ask you, once the take gets to all of you and you're jumping
Yeah.
out in slow-mo, how do they do that shot on set?
No idea.
I don't know because I don't remember any of those shots being felt like it's the
I
magic
remember
of
the
Marvel.
individual bits.
Yeah.
Like the leap or whatever.
Yep,
but
a
obviously on a
jump or
green
something.
screen.
It's green screen.
All separate green screens.
Okay.
And somehow overlay them and.
So you were on like a motorcycle or whatever the device was, and they just kind of like add the shots in.
They make
It's
it
a
all
horse,
work.
but they
man.
actually painted it like a
That's
motorcycle.
right. That's right.
It's not very good on motorcycle.
And
I just prefer the animal. Love him.
I understand.
He's a bit of an animal himself.
Animals
What
are
can I
good.
say?
Yeah, it works well in the Marvel universe. Because I'm a big fan of the movie Snowpiercer. If you could drop Thor and Captain America onto that train, how would they survive? What
They
would
would have
they
taken
do?
over. It would have been their train. Wilford is done. Thor's at the front of the train.
Yes, Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. You're done.
I want to see that. Now, I love the scene in the beginning of in the film where you guys are trying to pick up the hammer, and I wanted to know, in the movie world, when you guys were trying to actually lift it, how did they keep it down? Like, what were they doing?
They actually couldn't lift it. That scene wasn't
The
meant
hammer
to be
is
like
method.
that. Yeah.
It's a
I was
really
like,
good act.
guys, it's not that heavy. And they're like, actually it is. So that became the joke. Originally it was like, we're all worthy, aren't we? Amazing. What a team. And then they couldn't pick it up. So.
But seriously though, is it like nailed down?
There it is. T-Hammer.
T-Hammer.
They did nail it down. I think initially they nailed it down, and then we lifted it, and the whole table came up.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately they ended up doing something where they kind of secured everything.
Right.
Yeah, they did like bolted it into the floor.
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah.
I loved what you did with Chris Pratt and the Super Bowl bet and everything. You guys were visiting this. It was incredible what you were able to do. I'm wondering if there was to be a Thor Captain America bet.
Well, he's got to start liking real sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's Australian football? What is this nonsense?
I don't know.
I don't even know what that.
watch
I don't even know what that. No, you know what? You said you played it though. I saw an Australian football, Australian rugby, not Australian football, Australian rugby.
Yeah, it's it's a tougher sport.
It's
than American
nuts.
football.
Every guy is 6'5". Every guy is a monster out there. It's true. It's a very dangerous sport. It's nothing compared to American football.
Well, because we don't wear padding and helmets and stuff.
Because if you didn't,
I'm going to get stopped
broken
at customs
spine.
for that.
We need a bet here. Patriots versus one of his teams.
Man,
How about
I wish
an
Brandon
Australian
Browner
football
could be
team?
coming across the middle and just take out one of these
We're
guys.
just taking you guys
Stretcher.
out. What a bet? We could go. Well, we were talking about the Floyd Pacquiao. Mayweather,
Well,
Pacquiao
who are you
fight.
taking?
Well, I went Pacquiao.
I'll
and you
take
went
Mayweather.
Okay.
All right, there it is.
All right, so what happens?
There it is.
$1 million. I mean, cents. How many dollars is that?
$1 million cents.
If you
It's like
win,
$2,
seriously,
yeah.
how does this play out? How does this play out if you win?
I don't know. Look what you're doing to us right now. You're doing it. You're doing
Yeah.
it. You know what
Do
you're
this.
doing.
Come on.
You know what you're doing.
Come on, I know what I'm doing.
How does this play out? You.
Give me the bet. This is a real bet. This is on camera.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why we
I
have
told
to
you,
tread
1
lightly.
million. I mean, 1 million.
million.
A
cents.
realistic bet.
Push-ups.
That's a good question.
You have to wear the Thor costume and the Thor wig. Yes. In the next movie.
Win-win.
In the next movie? Are Russo brothers going to allow that?
What do I wear? No. Come on, give us something. What are we wagering?
Oh man, I don't know.
This is permanent.
This is permanent. We all know those red lights mean permanent.
You get one of my children.
Deal.
But if I win,
Can I
I get
pick?
you as my 4th child.
Okay. All right. Win-win.
Damn, that sucks again for me, doesn't it?
How did Ultron look on set? Was there any motion capture involved? And how did they make the character look 8 feet tall? Did they put you on stilts? How do they do that?
It was, you know, the technology has changed quite a bit, and that prior to this, prior to I think maybe our film, I'm not entirely sure, but if you were a computer generated character, animated character like he is, then you would be on set sort of off camera. And then your performance would be, and you'd be there for the other actors to play across from and so on, and obviously you would voice it. But your physicality would be captured in a motion capture stage after principal photography was over, or concurrently when they didn't need you on the set. In this case, I was wearing a fractal suit and big sort of backpack with all kinds of things, you know, and then depending on what stage of Ultron it was, I also had these sort of braces that were putting his body in different positions and weights and balances and so on and so forth, and then a big head rig that then had headlights like here that were circular lights with cameras inside that were recording my face all the time. And then I was standing on the ground, but there was also a rod that came out of the back of my backpack and went up to 8 feet tall or whatever, however tall he is. And up there were also 2 little eyes, little red eyes, so that the actors playing across would play to that as his height. Except in certain cases where they would where the blocking was such where we would be able to be in the same plane and be able to play. And then in our scenes, actually, we were always on the same plane. So we were just playing head to head.
I'm nerding out right now. This is insane.
It was really crazy. And anyway, so the technology is advanced so that they were able to do performance capture on the set with the other actors, with me just in this rig. And then the only drag of it was that I had never thought of is that I was being filmed all the time. My face was filmed all the time, even if the camera was pointed at the other actor and therefore it would be perceived as being their coverage and I would be off camera. Still, I was being filmed by those cameras there. And even on in post-production, when I was doing voiceover work, doing additional voice recording, my face was being filmed all the time so that they could get expression and eyes and all the rest of that.
Are you full-blown practical makeup in the sense of when you become the Vision, or is there any CGI involved at all on your outfit?
There's some CG going on in terms of my eyes and stuff, yeah.
Wow.
But he's wearing that stuff.
I'm wearing that stuff, yeah.
When Downey Jr. is in the Hulkbuster suit and you're obviously green and big Hulk, is there any element of you two fighting in a mocap element? How do they get that scene to work? Is that all CGI?
That's well, so they do this. They do Veronica is completely CGI, and then all my reactions and fighting to Veronica are done basically with another stuntman. Usually a really tall one. This guy was like 7'6", and so I did all the fighting against him, but Robert didn't do any of that because he's actually, all they're doing is capturing his face and that stuff.
Wow, so you're literally having a sequence where they mocap the element to make it look like
mocap this fight between the two of us.
It's so sick,
and they'll do
man.
it in pieces, you know?
When you drop out of that plane on the motorcycle, though, is that you at all? How does that moment get done?
Some parts of it are, it's also a kind of mishmash of, like, different pieces, so... you know, like a lot of the motorcycle stuff I do is like kind of stationary, and then, like it's very unattractive, but it's me basically like very unattractively straddling this kind of a green thing and doing all this weird like up in the air.
People see that really unattractive. Yes.
I think him and I are on the same page here. It's not unattractive at all.
A lot of it is like kind of, you're sort of like elevated because they get a lot of shots that are like under you, so you're kind of on all these different strange.
And are they moving it like
they move it around, but then it's also like lifted up on the thing.
Like a mechanical bull almost. Like
kind of like that. Yes, it's like a mechanical bull. Yeah. And then there's actually like real motorcycle stuff, and then we also had an amazing stunt motorcycle rider who like did all, she's like the best in the world, like motocross, incredible, that went to Korea and did all the street stuff, and it's all a mishmash of everything.
It looks like you.
It looks really cool.
I would have sworn it was you.
Oh, would you stop?
I swear to God.
Would you just stop?
Wasn't the first thing I said to him was I thought the motorcycle stuff was really cool.
He did say that before the interview started.
Oh, I'm glad you thought it was cool.
No, he thought it was you.
I was saying,
you know that there's no possible way that I could have ridden through the streets of Korea.
I wouldn't put it past you. Knowing you as well as I do,
you know
there's
what?
nothing
I take that
you
as a
can't
compliment.
do. You should.
Thank you.
Finally.
You guys have both done incredible films in low budget environments and very big budget environments. And I'm wondering, when you approach a character in a film like Under the Skin or even Foxcatcher or Zodiac, anything like that, is there an element of approaching the character any differently in that world than it is here?
No.
No, it's pretty much the same, I think.
It is. Mm-hmm. The process is the same, I think. And, you know, honestly, I think the only difference is that probably when you do a smaller film like that, because the budget is so small, you have more time to rehearse, because it's like, okay, once we get on set, we're going to be burning. We have this very short.
Days.
We have 23 days to shoot, you know, the same size script or whatever, and
Avengers.
You know, yeah, and so you have kind of you have more time to prepare, I think, with the actual, you know, the other actors or you want to kind of conserve your time, and on a set like Avengers, we have much more room to kind of play on set than you would on a film that's got a tighter budget.
But the preparation's pretty much the same, except you don't get to rehearse as much.
Huh. Well, it's awesome to see you guys. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
One thing I loved about the beginning was the long continuous take that you did again. You did in the first one. Can you explain to me how you actually pull that shot off in this film, and then once you end it on the shot of them kind of running all together, how does that look on set when you shoot that? How do you pull that off?
Well, you shoot as much practically as you can, but obviously Iron Man, Hulk, and a lot of flying around. That's not going to be. We had a place in the woods that we scouted. We set up enormous runs with a spider cam, which is basically, you know, it's a camera that's on wires that can go every which way. And there's the Jeep, and we just sort of lead it, and you take it as far as you can, and then you stitch it together with another part of the shot, and you sort of break it up into, say, basically sort of 3 main bits, where it's like we're in this environment, and then we connect it to this environment, then we connect, and then, you know, you start adding and adding and adding, and that was the last shot that was delivered. It was the last thing we did in the movie, was finalize the color timing on that shot. That's when we finished.
What do you call that shot, by the way?
The tie-in shot.
Oh, such an awesome shot.
And yeah, we had one in the last film. That was the last shot delivered in the last film as well, and because they're just enormously labor intensive. Yeah. And but we did it right at the beginning because we wanted to say, this is why you came. Boom, here it is. Let's not, let's not mince words. In fact, let's not even use words. Let's just get right in,
Nerd
and then we'll see what comes after that.
But the final shot of them actually leaping, when they're all in the same shot, do you shoot them individually at one point and then just drop them in? Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's all elements put together after the fact, because or before the fact. Because we couldn't. There was no way we were going to get all of those people lined up, and because again, some of them are flying and some of them are Hulk.
Yeah. Now, you come from a big background of practical effects. I mean, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was basically, I think, 100% practical in the sense that, well, most of it was.
Well, the CG was lame enough that we tried to be practical
it looked
as often
great,
as possible.
But I want to ask you, what is the difference for you in directing CGI versus practical effects? And is there anything in this movie that you wish you could have done practically that had to be done CGI?
You know, the only problem with CGI is that when you're in a space on the day with an actor, practically, you're able to do things in the frame that you can't necessarily do with a CGI character. And so sometimes because I have two of the main characters are purely CG in this film. Sometimes you sort of, in order to solve problems when you're putting it together later, you don't have time to work out the same kind of intricate movement and stuff with the camera, and so it's you lose that because on the day they're not standing there in front of you going, hey, I'm Chris Hemsworth, how are you going to shoot me? And your brain is sort of going, and there's going to be this character too, but then it's hard when you're trying to get the actor's shot to remember, I need the same kind of filmic vernacular for this character, so that's the only thing.
Now, when you could take on a sequel like this, obviously the first one was so massive, do you go back and look at the film and go, okay, I should have done that differently, I made a mistake there, and I want to fix it in this one? Do you look at your film like that?
I didn't actually look at the first one until a couple days ago with my kids. They were like, let's watch the first one again. And I was like, oh, this movie. We kept saying we should watch the first one, but we never had time. No, I'm too busy going, look at all the mistakes in this one to worry about the mistakes in the first one. There's definitely things we go, well, let's try to do better with this, and I think the most obvious being Captain America's costume, which is way better in this.
It is awesome. For you specifically, when you're running, as we see you on camera, I know there's clearly effects added in there, but what does it look like for you on set when you're doing that? Like, are you actually running and they speed you up? How do they do it?
Yeah, they did.
Pass.
Yeah, they call it the Pietro Pass. So we'll do the scene, shoot the scene, and if I was running into that shot, then everyone would step out of the shot, and then I'd have my own where the camera hasn't moved at all, so it's like the same plate, and then I'd run and do the whole thing again. But then, the special effects guys would say, we need it, because we're going to blur everything, we need you to sort of do a lot more movement, so it's not just a straight run, so I'd have to run sort of like silly running, with like arms waving and kind of dart, not in straight lines, but, enough for them to speed it up, and then they add effects to it, so wherever there is running, it was me doing it, and then but it's so quick you could assume it was all just computer graphics.
But it was you. That's really cool. For you, obviously, forgive me for not knowing the name of it. When you're releasing the energy,
sure.
I guess that's how you call it.
Yeah.
Do you see anything? Is there an eye line? Because in the sense of like, how do you know where you're throwing things? Like, what does Joss tell you?
There's no eye line. I mean, occasionally we would have a bunch of stunt guys in their, what are those outfits called? Those onesies with all the spots on them.
Mocap suits.
Yeah. Occasionally we would have those guys there as references. But most of the time they put special effects to what we're looking at.
Okay.
I think that's
but
how it works.
All your stuff was almost in dance moves, so you knew that you was building.
I always knew exactly where I was in my imagination. No one else knew about it though.
She gave me the scene. I get the things called nerd tears. I get so geeked out that I get teary eyed when you slow mode and punched Captain America, which is in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. How does that look? Are you like? Is that just like you going past him and like barely skimming his face? How do you do that?
It's like two guys who are really good at stunts.
Really great timing from Chris and very close fist. I'm pretty sure almost that we very close at like hitting each other.
Did you ever accidentally hit him?
I'm trying to think actually if we did ever have like a nick. I feel like there was, but but yeah, his timing was so expert. Like, but yeah, I'd run past and duck and then swing a punch close to his face. Dude. And his timing was amazing. Like.
I was nerding
It was
out.
so close.
Like crazy.
Because I was like proper winding up a punch too.
All right, I want to see this happen. Get Matthew Vaughn on the phone. Let's do Kick-Ass versus Quicksilver. How would that go down? Because is there any way Kick-Ass could survive Quicksilver?
No.
King-Ass has never actually had
He's like
any
a child.
powers. So that's just an illusion. Just because he's got an outfit doesn't mean he can do anything. So.
When you have to have an accent change in a film, what is the hardest part about doing the accent, and do you stay in the accent throughout the whole shoot in the sense of do you talk to your co-stars and family members off set in the Russian accent?
I don't.
No, I mean not that accent. I think that's just not very attractive, is it? There are times. I mean, you know, there are times. I messed around with a lot of accents.
Yeah,
at
we
home.
would do it together. We would joke about it off.
Yeah, I think you could stay.
offset.
Yeah, offset. I think it's a fun accent to be like, you know, to play around with. Whilst
It's really
you're just,
playful.
Yeah. But and that is the way that you get used to feeling more comfortable and familiar with it. So that, you know, if there was a line change, you'd feel, you know, you can access it quicker.
And we would do warm-ups together and every day. So you just get it. You just wake up and you start doing it.
So when you're firing the bows, are those ever actually firing, or is it just CGI? How do they do that?
Well, they would never give me a real weapon to hurt people.
No, you know what I mean. Like if someone's off camera, you can
off camera getting shot. The arrow's got to go somewhere. No, man, we can't use real arrows. I mean, only for close-ups will you actually pull a real arrow and line it up. So you know you're not putting a CGI arrow at that point. But it's still dangerous at that point because you don't want to release the bowstring with an arrow in it because it's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, and for you have some pretty epic.
I'm always using a real computer.
Correct.
It's not turned on.
I'm sorry. It's not turned on. But there is a real screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Right.
I need to know that. Now, here's some scenes where you get to fire a gun, which is awesome.
There was
One pretty epic shot of that.
Yes.
Are there real bullets in that?
Yes. No, that is. I'm very method. Very method. So I actually demand that there's real bullets in real.
It's in your
guns.
contract.
It's in my contract.
Yeah.
I won't do it unless.
Okay.
And so we just have, you know, bulletproof vests on the crew members, and it's all good.
Now, I do want to know this, though, because I didn't get to interview you for the first Avengers. That the epic shot in the first one when you jump off that building and turn around backwards.
Yeah.
When they shoot that on set, do you is it jumping onto like a bed? Are you how do they do that moment?
Yeah,
It's
that
such
was
a great shot.
they built like this sort of 2-story platform, and then they put a pad on the ground. So you fall like about 20 feet, which is pretty cool. And you just got to jump off and do the turn.
With confidence.
Yeah.
He's got the confidence to pull it off.
And don't land on the bow. It's really the only thing you had to do.
Yeah, how do you mentally keep your face looking cool but realize I have to land a certain way or I'm going to break my neck?
Jeremy's face is always cool.
Yeah, it's always angry looking. Yeah.
It's always cool looking. You do have a pretty extensive backstory that I won't give away what that is, but I'm wondering, was that something what was something that you envisioned prior to making this movie about what his backstory was? Had you ever come up with something that was different from what we see in this particular movie?
I kind of go with what Joss and I talked about in the very beginning and doing in the first one. Just couldn't do it in the first one, and then this one we get to explore a little bit more of it, which is exciting. But there's you look at the comic universe of it, and with each character there's a deep sort of backstory with everybody, and they don't like to limit themselves by me talking about what those are, because it can go into different ways, and or if they want you dead, then they can just kill you. I'm not going to say any of those things.
But then you get your own TV show, so it's okay.
Exactly.
That is true.
That's right.
Hawkeye coming to TV. Fox, 8 p.m. Wednesday nights.
Still not happening.
I'm there. I'm going to watch. I'll be your only viewer.
All right. You can be Hawkeye.
Yeah. All right, I'll do it. Good to see you.